And I think one more pull, and that's going to be about all I'm going to be able to, not be able to, but that's all I'm going to want to work with. Another thing about working a form and trying to refine your shape is you want to use as little water as possible, but you also want to work with it as little as possible because the clay will actually get fatigued. And when it gets fatigued, it just doesn't want to stand up anymore. It wants to rest and it wants to fall. So you remember this if you're working. Say if you've worked a while on a piece and it collapses just for one reason or another. If you go back over to the wedging board and wedge up that clay and try to throw it again right away, it'll still be fatigued and it will not hold up like a nice fresh piece of clay will. You've got to leave it alone for a while and let it rest.
Right.
And then it'll gain some strength again and be ready to be worked. Okay. A lot of people make that mistake, and they just keep defeating themselves again and again because the clay is just too tired.
How long does it need to rest?
You know, like a few hours. You know, just let it have a good rest. Okay, here's one more. I think I'm going to maybe I'll just make a round form for the fun of it. So that's my first shaping pull. And again, now here's where I really do want to keep this top as small as possible because I know I'm going to close this one up in the end. And a good thing about keeping it small too is not only is it easier to close up in the end, but it also helps you keep the piece
strong
on center. Yeah, it's strong, and particularly on a lot of the forms I make will actually come right up to my armpit.
Wow.
And I'll keep it small, and that way I can reach all the way in here. And that being small around my arm, that keeps all of this on center as I come up and then slip it out. So there's like the bowl, you know how I do with my rib on the inside? I'm doing this here. Keep your ribs nice and clean. And all I'm doing here is shaping, but you don't just shape from the outside, even though that's the part you see. You've always got to oppose that force on the inside. So I've got my left hand in here pushing out, and while my rib is pushing in. Okay, so just like we did on that other little form, come in and collar in. Here's where, now I'm not going to use any more water on the bottom, but I have to use some water on the top to give myself enough lubrication to collar this piece in. So when you collar in, you're compressing the clay. So actually you're making it thicker when you squeeze it in like that. So once you've done the collaring in, then you've got to go back and thin that out again, and you've got some extra clay to use to give you what you want to finish off the piece. Now this is a little trick to even things up in the end. Okay, so I'm going to try to refine this maybe a little bit more. I wish I had my little chamois. Again, you're starting from the top and going down. I've got this little mark right there. I'm trying to clean up that excess clay. Now this piece will be trimmed later too, just like the bowls after it gets to be leather hard. Again, this thing is it should really be off, I think. And that looks pretty good. This is going to be trimmed just a little bit more to give it just a little bit more lift, lightness in the end. Happy with that.
Beautiful. So beautiful.
And a piece that's been thrown relatively dry should be stable enough just to pick up and take it off.